Last year, Valve released the Steam Deck, and it took PC gaming by storm by being this all-in-one integrated Steam handheld gaming device. Shortly after that, though, we saw a myriad of announcements for different handhelds from the likes of Aya. We had the Odin and the Loki get announced, and then something really peculiar happened on April 1st of this year. Asus, in all of their infinite wisdom, decided to announce the ROG Ally. Now, we had heard this going through the grapevines, but on April Fool's Day, it became a reality. And the funny thing is, I said that if it hit a specific price point, I would pick one up. Unfortunately, the one that I have today is not the one at that price point, but we do got one, and I'm pretty excited. Because while the Steam Deck has its own custom special operating system, this runs Windows. Meaning the games I can't play on my Steam Deck, I should be able to play here. And I really am curious how the Z1 Extreme processor competes against the one inside the Steam Deck. So let's get right into it. Hello and welcome. My name is Wolfie. You're watching Greater Than Pie, and thank you so much for swinging by this video today and checking out my unboxing of the ROG Ally. Now, I'm excited for this. This is a handheld computer that I kind of have wanted for a while. I'm really surprised that Razer didn't make the Razer's Edge 2. Instead, they made this cloud computing type console, as opposed to this, which is a actual computer right here running Windows and is capable of actually running your games natively, along with streaming. In fact, I got a month of Game Pass for free just for buying this thing. Now, we also did pick up the case because unlike the Steam Deck, the case does not come with it. So I figured this would actually be a necessary investment. Now, interestingly enough, before we actually get into the box, it is currently the holiday season, and this went as low as $600, which isn't that bad, especially compared to the Steam Deck OLED, which also just came out. And then the case is $40, which we're going to see how worthwhile that is. It may be necessary because I don't know how many third-party cases actually exist for this thing. So let's actually get into this. I'm going to start with the case just because this will set the expectation, I think, for how the rest of the quality is going to be. Okay, so it's a soft case. So the ROG logo on the front actually has a slight rainbow effect to it, and it says Republic of Gamers all the way around it. And in search of incredible, a rather large instruction manual for a case. It looks like, though, I do like this. We got storage built into the case. That's nice. Probably for your headphones and maybe some additional SD cards. And it's very soft, actually. But it does have enough padding that I wouldn't be too worried about sticking the Ally in the bag while it's inside this case. Okay, now the actual main event, the Ally itself. I try to do this without scissors or a knife or anything. Just gonna... I can do it. Aha! I got it. All right. There's more security stuff on it. Ready? Well, that was slightly disappointing. You get all this like fanfare going, and then instructions are the first thing you see. Okay, so plug it in, power it on. So it's assuming that it's going to have to do updates probably. And there's the console itself. Oh, I like how that feels in the hand. It's the first time I've actually been able to hold an Ally. It's kind of... Ugh. So we got one set of back buttons, right and left triggers. Top bumpers are... This feels very much like the Steam Deck. It's clicky. I don't know how I'm going to like that. These are very clicky. The joysticks are great feeling. D-pad, serviceable. And the buttons all have a different feel. Interesting. It must just be placement. But again, they're pretty clicky. I don't know how I'm going to like it. We'll see once we're actually playing it in hand. And Our tour around the top, though, does come with some interesting stuff. So we got our power button up here, and we've got volume rocker, which are physical buttons, power and charging LEDs. This really cool connector, which is used for external graphics cards. You can actually do one feature that I wish more of these kinds of devices could do, where you can connect it directly to an eGPU and essentially get a whole computer out of it. We got an SD card slot, which is a point of contention as of late because, unfortunately, there seems to be an overheating issue with that. There is a BIOS fix that's supposed to fix that, though, so we'll see about that. And then good to see a headphone jack. And then along the back, look at all that ventilation. Well, I think this is an RGB pattern, but there's a lot of ventilation on the top and then the bottom. Actually, there might be. This might actually be ventilation plus RGB. Pretty cool. And then the little details all around it's got so much shininess. It's a very shiny console, even these little like corners. And I like the matte white. It reminds me of my Game Boy Advance that I used to have. I had the white Game Boy Advance. So having a white console like this actually is kind of nostalgic. So let's see, this has something. A stand? A dock? That is some... That is some grade A Asus nonsense. Oh my goodness. It is a stand. It's a piece of reusable plastic, or like it feels like it's just cardboard in the shape of ROG, and it has a little stand so you can set your Ally in there. That's great. All right, what else do we got in this box? I haven't seen a charger yet. Oh, there's the charger. It's a big one. Okay, anything else in here? There is a dock that I did not buy, and that dock actually is pretty cool, and I'm probably gonna take a look at it later. Okay, we got instructions, receive, download. Okay. Warranty info, all the stuff you need to register it and have it in Asus's system. And I think we have reached the bottom of the box. Okay, so I think our next step is going to be to plug this in per Asus's instructions and give it a little bit of charge while we update and enter Windows and all that stuff. So from here, it's a pretty straightforward Windows setup. You turn it on, the device does its first time setup, you create an account, log into your Windows account, and then the fun begins. Installing drivers on this device is not as straightforward as it would be on a typical PC. Normally, for AMD drivers, you would go to amd.com and then you would look up your device. Unfortunately, because this is a specific type of processor that is running inside of this device, Asus is the only one who is actually authorized to send drivers to the device. So there are two applications that are going to be integral to setting this thing up: Armory Crates and Asus Center. Asus Center will actually handle the GPU drivers, audio drivers, and any of the hardware-based drivers inside the system, as where Armory Crate will do anything software related. And luckily, from the start, both of them are already installed and nothing is really needed to be added. Unfortunately, though, if you're trying to just grab this and start gaming, you've got a good 2 hours of just updates that you're going to need to get through before your device is ready. Okay, it's been a little bit. We've actually really gotten to use this, and I have some thoughts. And all of them are very, very positive. I'm really surprised that the Z1 Extreme processor inside this is more than capable of driving 1080p AAA gaming with reasonable frame rates. For example, Forza Horizon 5, we were able to run at medium at 59 frames per second average, which is pretty much 60. There were a couple of dips that took it lower, but at the same time, that's medium settings, 1080p, and it worked just fine. Additionally, this was able to handle Cyberpunk above 30 frames per second at 1080p on the Steam Deck settings. It was 42.52 frames per second because, you know, they like to be accurate in the Cyberpunk benchmark. And then in Tiny Tina's Wonderland, low settings, we got 63.30. All of these actually outperform the Steam Deck at a lower resolution, which is, well, let's just say impressive. This is the same form factor, the same size, practically the same weight, yet it's just a little bit more powerful. Unfortunately, though, that power does come with less battery life. The device does die at, well, about an hour into heavy gaming workloads, just a little bit over, and it can suck back so much power that even the optional charging brick dock, yes, I said I was going to take a look at this, it can't actually fully charge it while it is docked and playing games. There would be a slow but very noticeable amount of battery degradation while on charge, to the point that I would go from 100% to around 98 to even 97% over the course of a long gaming session. Now, when I say long, that was multiple hours throughout an entire day, and it still held through. The cooling on this thing worked very, very well. It wasn't super audible, and it was actually really enjoyable. Which brings me to my next point. The docked performance of the ROG Ally is significantly better than that of the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is capable of running 720p content really easily, where the ROG Ally runs 1080p content really easily. The difference is it's able to be driven on a more reasonable display and at a more reasonable resolution than the Steam Deck. The closer you get to your TV's resolution, the better. And fortunately, I still rock a 1080p TV despite having 1440p monitors and all that stuff. You can tell which area is my favorite, and it's definitely not the living room. But this does work in the living room. The only thing I really don't like is the fact that the dock has a single USB port on it, which means that you're stuck using something like this, which is a powered USB hub, in order to get enough USB outputs to have a keyboard, mouse, or in my case, a keypad and a controller. Now, speaking of controllers, the ROG Ally has excellent joy to mouse and touchpad controls, to the point that in most situations, I can get the keyboard on screen if I need it. And if I have the buttons disabled for a specific game, I can easily find a way to get to the keyboard. That is not the same when you are docked. Unfortunately, when you are docked, there is really no way to make those macros happen. I thought by buying maybe an Asus product that uses the same software, I could use the same mappings. In fact, I have two whole buttons on this controller that could easily be used to just bring up the keyboard or click for me in some games, because, you know, Windows is weird, but it can't. Unfortunately, this controller didn't work that way, which kind of sucks. It can only be mapped to specifically Xbox controls. And, well, when you've got two additional back paddles, you run out of inputs very, very quickly. And there was no macro function or anything. So super weird, odd product. We'll be talking about it later. There are things I like about this controller, and there are things that I don't like about this controller. So we'll talk about them in the video about the controller. But on the topic of the ROG Ally, I love it. I absolutely love it. It stays relatively cool. It is not difficult to actually play it in public, take it around in that case. The case works flawlessly. Now, there are some weird oddities that Asus decided to go with the ROG Ally that I would like for them to fix in future generations. For example, this whole stand situation is kind of dumb, not gonna lie. There aren't any third-party stands available currently that I have found. There are some that might work, but they're just kind of like generic, works with everything kind of stands. And I already tested using a Wii U gamepad stand that did not work and a Steam Deck stand that did not work. So your mileage may vary in that degree. The ROG cardboard stand is used in all of their promotional images. So it looks like they have no intention of making a first party stand, despite that probably being an easy accessory and an easy win for them. Which then brings me to my final grievance, and that's this port on the top. You see, unfortunately, there are exactly 2 GPUs that work with this port, an RTX 3080 mobile and an RTX 4090 mobile. That is it. And unfortunately, the 4090 mobile comes with the 4090 price tag of $2,000. Yeah, $2,000 to upgrade the graphics of this device. And unfortunately, the price is just not worth it for most people, myself included. And finally, I will like to say that the storage options on this thing are a little limited, but the upgrade process is super easy. So easy, I in fact already have done it. So the ROG Ally has definitely replaced my Steam Deck in my general use for day to day, because it's just that good. But that is where I'm gonna end it today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this, consider getting subscribed, because we're definitely going to be taking a look at other gaming handhelds in the future. In fact, after this video goes live, there should be a poll that is actually about the next one we're going to do. Also, there's the upgrade video where we upgrade this to a 2 terabyte SSD coming right on out. And also the controller, this mysterious ROG Raikiri Pro controller. That's also coming out. So lots of videos coming out around to this thing. And of course, you guys have been asking for it. Gonna have to update my mod list, make it work on the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. I'll have a Steam Deck version and an ROG Ally version. That will make Skyrim either look even more amazing, have even more content, or just be my own personal brand of weird. But that is everything I gotta say. So thank you guys again. I hope to see you in the next video. Wolfie out.